Hey guys, Mr. Mini Painter here and welcome to this painting tutorial for Batman Gotham City Chronicles by Monolith Games. And in this guide we'll be painting Batman the Dark Knight himself and bringing him to life on the tabletop. The Batman is of course one of the centerpiece models of the game, and painting him was a fantastic experience even though he is quite easy color-wise. So in this tutorial I will walk you step by step through the process from priming, color selection, shading, etc. and bring your Batman to life and make him stand out among the other heroes of Gotham City. So, grab your brushes, ready your paints, and let's dive in the world of Gotham, starting with the Dark Knight himself. To start off with, well, what better color is there to use for Batman as black as a primer? Because most of his body is going to be very dark, this is the most obvious choice of course. So I primed the entire model in a black spray, and make sure to thin down that spray or use an airbrush if you have one to keep those details as crisp as possible. Now the first color we're going to be using is Mechanicus Standard Gray. We're going to paint the suit quite bright, it might seem, but we're going to darken it down along the way. While doing this, I try to keep the Batman logo black if possible and try not to spill as much. It's not a big deal, but just go over it with a black color afterwards if you do. And once we're done with this, make sure that it dries, and we're going to mix some Lamia Medium in Black Templar. Now this might seem a bit out of the ordinary maybe, because it's not really a shade, but I really like how this color turns out when thinning it down just a little bit. It's kind of a reverse highlight process, comparable to shading, but the nice thing about these contrast paints is that they don't really puddle up in piles, they rather stay in place, so you can kind of move it around with your brush, with the tip of your brush, which makes it very manageable. Now here you can see my first results, and of course we're going to work on it a little bit more, but I'm very happy with how it looks so far. Next step is highlighting the muscles. They are really defined on this model, so they're easy to pick out, and focus on the top areas of those muscles. So leave the bottom where the light would normally hit less nice and dark, and emphasize the upper parts of the muscles. Next step is the cloak. I'm giving it a base color of Night Lord's Blue and Abaddon Black, giving it a light blue hue, just a tiny detail because otherwise it would be all black. We're also going to darken this down, but I like the tiny variant in color here. Now I'm adding some Mechanicus Standard Gray to the mix for a first highlight stage, focusing on the large areas, the corners of the cloak. This is very cartoony, cloak or cape, hanging in these straight folds, but I really like the look on this. And because it's such a large area, it's important to add some definition to it here and there by adding some highlights. So the shoulder parts, of course the top of his hood, or the mask, or whatever. Also the side of the gloves, the sharp pointy edges on the side, we're gonna highlight with that same color. And next up is Black Legion, again a contrast paint, which also might seem a bit out of the ordinary to use as a shade, but what I like about this color is it doesn't really dry up with a shine to it, like an oil would normally do, or a shade. Next, it's a bit out of focus here, sorry about that. I'm using Mechanicus Standard Gray to add some edge highlights here and there. You can take that a little bit further by using Dawnstone if you want. The tiny part of face is showing, and for that I'm using Night Questor Flesh. Next, some Palette Witch Flesh for the teeth and the eyes. For the yellows I'm using Averland Sunset. Now yellow is a hard color to paint, so what you can do is add a brown first, like for example a Mornfang brown or an XV88 as a base tone, and then go over it with this yellow. Otherwise you may have to use 2 coats. I'm now washing the face with Wayland Flesh Shade. Just add some shade here and there, especially around those edges. And the final highlight on the face will be Kislev Flesh, just to pronounce the chin, the nose, part of the cheek that is showing. After which we're going back to Mechanicus Standard Grey for the base. I'm doing that now, you can do it in the end, but I can let it dry and continue on it afterwards. I'm shading the yellow belt with some Null Oil. If you wanted to have a more orangey look, you can use, for example, Yanden Yellow, the contrast paint, or any kind of orange shade. I used Null Oil to keep it more black, and then went over it again with Averland Sunset, leaving those recessed areas nice and dark. Just pick out the top edges. Next I'm giving it an edge highlight with Phalanx Yellow. Just picking out some details, the button, the sides, the top. Making it really pop out. It's basically, except for the face, the only color on this model. The rest is black and gray, so pay some attention to it. You should have something looking like this. Next up, back to the Null Oil for the base of the model, making those cracks really appear. The bases on these models are quite simple, they're basically all the same, so it would be fun to add some detail to that maybe later on. For now I'm just painting what it is. I'm dry brushing the base with some Grey Seer. I'm kind of stippling some effect on there here and there. And with a tinier dry brush you can pick out those details if you want. Make sure to leave the black nice and dark and add some detail on the grey. And there he is, the Batman. A simple tutorial on a rather impressive character, and I really love the muscles and definitions on this miniature, and I hope you enjoyed it as well. If you did, please leave a comment and consider subscribing to the channel. I will be making videos every week, so keep posted, and I hope to see you in one of my next ones. Bye bye!